The Ancient Pact, Echoes of the Tundra, a saga of survival, sacrifice, and the dawn of humanity. Phase 1, the famine of the Ice Valley. The world 20,000 years ago was a jagged kingdom of white. The wind howled across the Siberian plains like a serrated blade, carving through anything brave enough to breathe. That winter, the Great Freeze came early, and it came to kill. Batu, the massive mammoth matriarch, stood against the gale. Her broad back acted as a living fortress for the herd, shielding them from the razor-sharp ice crystals. Her tusks, scarred by a century of winters, were more than weapons. They were survival tools used to break the 2-meter-thick ice crust to reach the withered grass roots beneath. Batu didn't eat first. She used her trunk to gently push the meager forage into the mouth of Noah, her yearling calf. Noah was too small to understand the cruelty of the tundra. He flapped his large, woolly ears in confusion, his eyes searching for the water that had long since turned to stone. Behind a cluster of frost-shattered granite, a pair of sharp eyes watched. Kang was the tribe's finest tracker. In his world, mammoths were walking storehouses of meat and fur. But Kang saw something else. He saw the way Batu protected her kin. He saw a soul in the giant. As the herd began a desperate trek toward the Silent Coast, a place of dark legends, Kang followed. He wasn't hunting, he was witnessing. Phase 2, the Forbidden Silent Coast. They reached the edge of the world where the ice met a violent purple sea. This was the Silent Coast, a place where the tide brought in the bones of whales and left them like bleached altars on the black sand. Noah, driven by a thirst that burned like fire, broke away from the herd. He rushed toward the water, his trunk reaching for the surf. Batu trumpeted a warning, a low-frequency vibration that shook the earth, but it was too late. From the depths of the oily purple waves, a nightmare emerged. A crimson tentacle, thick as an ancient oak and lined with hooked suckers, lashed out with the speed of a viper. It coiled around Noah's leg, dragging the shrieking calf into the freezing surf. Batu charged. She was a god of the land. But in the silt and the deep water, her power was useless. The crocodile leviathan from the abyss wrapped more tentacles around her tusks, pulling the mother and child into the dark. Phase 3, the lever of life. High on the cliffs, Kang didn't run. He realized that if he did nothing, the land would lose its greatest guardians. He didn't use his spear, it would be like stinging a mountain. Instead, he looked at a massive ancient pine tree leaning precariously over the cliff's edge. He tied his heavy bison hide rope to the trunk and threw the other end down to Batu. The old mammoth, with an intelligence that transcended species, caught the rope with her trunk. She looped it around her tusks. On the cliff, Kang swung his stone axe with a primal scream, severing the tree's final roots. The pine crashed down, acting as a massive lever. With the combined force of the falling timber and Batu's raw muscle, the leverage began to pry the kraken's grip from the shore. Kang didn't stop there. He leaped. He dove into the freezing water with an obsidian blade in his hand. Under the surface, he saw the kraken's eye, a plate-sized void of malice. He drove his blade deep into the creature's iris. The sea exploded in black ink and fury. The kraken recoiled, and in that split second of agony, Batu hauled the calf onto the sand. Phase 4, the shelter of the storm. Victory was short-lived. The sky turned the color of a bruised lung. The white god, the ultimate polar storm, was descending. Kang lay on the sand, his body turning to ice, his lungs burning from the seawater. He was dying. Batu looked at the shivering human and her own traumatized calf. She didn't head for the caves, she stood. The other mammoths followed. They formed a circle, their massive backs to the wind, creating a wall of flesh and wool. Batu lowered her head, nudging Kang and Noah into the hollow beneath her belly. In that cathedral of fur, the temperature was warm and the air was still. Kang clung to Noah's neck, listening to the synchronized heartbeats of the giants above him. Outside, the world was being erased by the storm. Inside, a hunter and a beast shared the same breath. Phase 5, the eternal etching. Years passed, the alliance between Kang's tribe and Batu's herd became the stuff of legend. Humans became the eyes of the mammoths, and mammoths became the strength of the humans. But time is a storm no one survives. When Batu's time came, she didn't go to the secret mammoth graveyards in the mountains. She returned to the Silent Coast. Kang, now an elder with a beard as white as the tundra, followed her. He sat by her massive front leg as the sun set. He didn't cry. Instead, he took a slab of slate and a sharp flint. He began to carve. He carved the waves, the tentacles, the falling tree, and the leap of faith. He carved the story of a man and a mammoth who chose to be brothers. The two closed her eyes for the last time, her spirit drifting into the stars. Millennia later, archaeologists would find that cave. They would see the carvings and wonder at the strange bond. They would realize that before we were builders of cities, we were keepers of each other.